Hey everyone, happy holidays. Today I have for you this beautiful, wintry, snowy Deco mesh wreath. It's gorgeous for the holiday and lovely as well for the winter season. Welcome back to my subscribers and to all visiting my channel today. If you like the wreath tutorial, I hope you will give this video a thumbs up and leave me your comments. I love receiving them. Okay, let me show you how I made this beautiful wintry Deco mesh wreath. These are the supplies that you will need to create this wreath. I have a 14-inch wire wreath frame from the Dollar Tree. I purchased these 2 rolls of Deco mesh. It's a Poly Pro mesh ribbon Deco mesh. I have never seen this type of Deco mesh before. It is actually like a fabric. It's very soft. There's no metallic threads. It's a completely different feel than any Deco mesh I have ever used before. And I thought it was just so perfect for a winter wreath with a snowy, wintry type of vibe. So I thought I would give it a try. And it turns out I absolutely love it. I also have a pile of pipe cleaners. I always purchase my pipe cleaners at Hobby Lobby because I prefer the thickness of them. And I have here a beautiful snowflake ribbon. This is from craftoutlet.com. I'm going to be placing this beautiful wreath on a dark gray, kind of a slate colored background or a door. And I wanted to use a ribbon that would look beautiful on that type of background. So I have this beautiful snowman ribbon. I believe I got that one from Craft Outlet as well. The other one that you just saw, I'm not going to end up using that, but it's a beautiful ribbon that I also got at craftoutlet.com. I have here some snowflakes. They're wood snowflakes, a little bit on the thicker side, maybe, I don't know, not quite half an inch, but something around that. I had gotten these at Hobby Lobby last year, used them for a different project, and now I'm going to repurpose them and place them on my wreath. But I want them to be white, so I am going to paint these snowflakes. I'm only going to be using 3 of them. They're about 6 inches in diameter. I have here 2 kinds of white glitter, a very fine glitter and one that's also a little bit more chunky. I like to use a couple of different kinds of glitter on a project. I have here some tacky glue, a sponge applicator, the regular crafting tools, that's a rotary cutter, some scissors, wire cutters, and of course something to place my snowflakes on to sprinkle the glitter. And I have a paintbrush there, and also I have these little snowflakes that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. They're very fine sparkly glitter on them. They're very pretty. And also a glue gun, of course. And here's my 14-inch wire wreath frame. Now for my Deco mesh, I am going to cut my Deco mesh, which, by the way, this is 10-inch wide Deco mesh. I'm going to cut it in 20-inch long pieces. I'm going to be using a method of preparing my bundles by rolling up 2.5 times the end of the Deco mesh. I place a clip on there. By the way, the side that curls toward you, that's the side you want to use. I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to crawl up that Deco mesh with my fingers and just gather it up. And I'm going to place a pipe cleaner on there. Again, this is a beautiful Deco mesh. Like I said, I've never seen this before. But let me tell you, it's just beautiful for any kind of a wreath. That's a wintry type of wreath where you're going to be using like snowflake effects. Very beautiful. I'm going to show you again how I did that. I'm going to cut a 20-inch piece. I didn't use my rotary cutter on this because for some reason I couldn't penetrate. I don't know if my blade wasn't sharp or if this Deco mesh just isn't very compliant with using a rotary cutter. So I roll up about 2.5 times the end, put a clip on it, do the same thing on the other side, and then I just take my fingertips and I just scrunch up that piece of Deco mesh until I get to the other side. And then I place a pipe cleaner. Now I do cut my pipe cleaners in half, and I just place the pipe cleaner around there very snugly, and I give it a couple of twists in the back. I'm going to be mounting all of these Deco mesh bundles. I believe there were 22. You're going to cut the entire 2 rolls. That will give you enough bundles to completely cover this 14-inch wire wreath frame. We're going to be using the 2 center wires and just placing that bundle on those 2 center wires. And notice how I place the bundle on the wreath form, the direction that I place the bundles. And I'm just going to continue doing that with all of the bundles that I cut. I turn the wreath over, pull it very snugly on the wire wreath frame, and I give it a couple of twists. Now, as you go along, you just keep pushing each of the bundles up against one another. Now, at first you might think, oh, they seem a bit floppy or like it's really not going to cover. But trust me, it will. When you get all of those bundles on there, it creates the most beautiful bed of Deco mesh. And it just seemed to me like snow. I don't know, it just reminded me of that. It's very white and very soft and very, very beautiful. So I continue all the way around the wreath, adding my Deco mesh bundles. And as I mentioned, cut both of the rolls, all of each roll in 20-inch sections. Now, after it's all applied, I do like to go around my wreath and kind of adjust my bundles so that I'm sure every area is covered. And that's what I'm doing here. You have very, very little fraying with this Deco mesh, but also with the application of the Deco mesh, the way the bundles are created, that also helps to minimize that. Here I have 3 beautiful ribbons. Now, as I mentioned, I have this beautiful one with the snowflakes and one with the snowman. And this beautiful one, it's very, very, very pretty. It has a beautiful sparkle in the design, but it's a different fabric than the other 2. And it also is a different shade of gray. So I decided to stick with just the 2 ribbons. Now I am going to create a beautiful bow using both of these ribbons. And rather than to refer you to one of my videos on how to make a bow, I'm going to just take it a little slower this time and talk you through the bow making process. I always make my bows this way, and I have made them this way for 30 years. And I think it's just the most wonderful method of creating bows without measuring, without using an easy bow maker. It's just a continuous method of utilizing the ribbon without cutting sections. All right, so for my tail, I'm going to make my tail about 12 inches long. And for the first loop on my bow, I am going to fold my ribbon over. I want to say that loop is about 10 inches. I don't measure my loops. I do everything by eyeballing it. But just for the sake of measuring, if you're new to bow making, you might want to consider using a ruler if you're not comfortable quite yet with eyeballing your loops. Now, as you notice, in the center, I have my thumb, as I'm showing you, and my index finger, always pinching at the center of my bow. This is where I anchor all of my loops. So I folded over my first loop on the left side. Now I'm going to the right side, and I'm going to fold that loop over. Now, before you fold over the loop, you always twist the ribbon because you want the correct side of the ribbon facing up. Most ribbons have one right side, if you will. So you always have to be mindful of that. See me twist there? That's because I'm preparing to fold over another loop. Again, you're going to be creating your loops and anchoring them in the middle with your thumb and your index finger. Now, on that left side, I folded over my loop to match up in size with the first loop I created on the left side. So always just eyeball your loops, and as you go, try to make them symmetrical. But if you need to make adjustments, easy enough to do at that time, just pull your ribbon forward, or you can back it up a little bit like I'm doing right there. I just did that, just to make that symmetrical with the other side. So now I have 2 loops on each side, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Still pinching in the middle, holding that tightly. I twisted my ribbon. Always do that. Oh, I just did it right there. Okay, now fold it over, pinch it in the middle, catch it with my thumb and my index finger, and I created my 3rd loop on the left side, matching it up in size to the other loops. Twist the ribbon so the right side is facing up when you fold it over. Now I'm going to create my 3rd loop on the right side. 1, 2, 3, I'm counting there. 1, 2, I'm showing you. Now it's time to create the 3rd loop on the left side. Fold it over, pinch it in the middle, make sure that it's symmetrical and matches your other loop size. Now I'm just going to take that tail and fold it over and just cut it off from the spool by matching it up with the other tail. You want your tails approximately the same length. And I'm pointing out there, I still have that tight pinch with my thumb and my index finger. Now I take my pipe cleaner, put it right down the center. And this pipe cleaner is going to take the place of my index finger and my thumb and secure all those loops together permanently. So I'm still going to have a nice grip, a nice hold on all those loops because I don't want to lose the work that I've already done. And so then I twist it 3 times on the back, and now I have a base for my bow. The loops are approximately 10 inches again, 3 loops on each side. The tails are about 12 inches. Now this is going to be the bottom tier of my bow, or what I often refer to as the base. It's a very pretty ribbon. You can't really see it in the video, but it has a shimmer, a very fine glitter on the ribbon. It's just beautiful. Here we have a very cute snowman ribbon. I'm going to do a 12-inch tail. I decide it's 12 inches by eyeballing it. I pinch and fold over my first loop. Now, this is going to be the top tier of my bow. I want these loops to be just a little bit smaller. So I want to say that loop is about 9 inches. So I'm going to fold over my first loop. Now, how many loops you use in a bow of this nature is the possibilities are endless. You can just get so creative with bow making of this method. For this one, I'm going to create another 3 loops on each side with the loops of that snowman ribbon. That's a little bit smaller than the loops of the base. I'm going to go to the left side now, make loop number 2 on that side. Fold it over, make sure the right side of the ribbon is facing you, pinch it in the middle, make sure your loops are symmetrical. Once you learn how to make a bow like this, you'll get so accustomed to checking for those bow making techniques, such as making sure your loops are symmetrical, always keeping a tight pinch in the middle. It will just become second nature once you get down this technique. And I promise you, you will love it. We're going to create loop number 3 on the left side, pinching in the middle all the while. I always have that firm grip. There you see me making a little adjustment in the loop. Just by eyeballing the loops, you can tell if they're even. Now I have 3 loops on the left, 2 on the right. So now I'm going to twist my ribbon, fold it over, pinch it in the middle, make sure that my loop is the same as the other loops. Now I have 3 on each side. Now I'm going to do something a little different than I did on the bottom one because this is the top tier. So I'm going to create a single loop that's going to rest right on those 3 loops on each side. So I'm creating a single loop, but make that loop a little bit smaller. So I want to say that loop is about 7.5 to 8 inches. So we're basically just layering our loops on top of one another. Twist the ribbon. Now I'm going to do the same single loop on the other side. And I'm going to match up the loop size with the single loop that I just did on the left. Twist the ribbon, right side of the ribbon facing you, fold it over, pinch it, gather it up and pinch it, hold it tight. So now we have on the right that single loop that's resting on the 3 bigger loops. Now at this point, I think it's helpful to take a pipe cleaner and just secure all of those loops that's just been created. I wrap it around super snug, bring it around in the back, and I don't let go until I have that absolutely secure by twisting my pipe cleaner about 3 times in the back. Now to finish off that top tier of that mixed ribbon bow, I'm going to create 1 single loop going right down the middle of that bow. I often call this the button. And I'm going to show you how I do that. I twist my ribbon again because I'm creating a loop. Now I'm going to simply take that and fold it under and catch it with my thumb. See my thumb go in there? I'm going to show you again. Fold it over, turn it under, watch my thumb. Did you see me catch that with my thumb? I'm holding onto that single loop now with my thumb. Now I'm going to take the pipe cleaner from the back that we originally used to secure all those other loops, poke it through the middle, and this is going to create an anchor or a secure place to hold that center loop. So you're going to bring those pipe cleaners around the back again, twist and secure. Now you can see here, we have 3 loops on each side, 1 single loop resting on the 3 on both sides. It's symmetrical, exactly the same. And this makes it just a beautiful bow. Now we have our tail, 1 tail at the bottom and 1 tail at the top. So what I'm going to do is twist my ribbon, and I'm going to simply take that tail on the top and feed it through the center. But before I do that, I bring my tail around just so I can trim it off and have it somewhat even with the other tail that's currently on the bottom. And there it is. And I'm going to take that tail that's on the top, squeeze it, feed it through the center loop. And now we have married up our tails on this top tier bow that we've created. Now you notice I haven't dovetailed or angled my ends yet because I'm going to wait until I get it on the wreath to decide exactly what I want to do with my tails. I have enough tails on my pipe cleaner there to feed it through the Deco mesh and secure it. But before I do that, I'm going to secure the bottom or the base to the top tier of the bow. So I'm going to open up my tails. I like my hand right between the 2 tails. And I hold that and place the top tier right on top of it. Now I'm going to bring the pipe cleaners from the top tier bow around the back, but I'm going to squeeze the 2 centers of the bows together really, really tight. I want a nice, secure application. I want it very flush with the bottom base. Squeeze it very tight with my thumb and my index finger. And I have my hand right between the tails because I want the pipe cleaner to go in between the 2 sets of tails. And around the back, I'm going to twist it several times until it's very secure. And now we have a simply beautiful mixed ribbon bow. Now at this point, I just love to shape my bows. I think a beautiful bow and the ribbons that you select for the bow and for the piece are so important. It can make or break your wreath, so to speak. It can make a wreath absolutely stunning if you have the right ribbons and you create a beautiful bow. Very important. One of the first things I do when I make a wreath, or when I'm planning to make a wreath, is choose my ribbons. Because I know how important it is to have that perfect ribbon on your wreath. Look how beautiful that is. Now you could just as well use other ribbons for this snowy wintry wreath. I have a red ribbon with white snowflakes that would have been beautiful on there, but I'm creating this gray one for a specific purpose. But think, how you could create that same wreath with that beautiful white Deco mesh with other ribbons. Okay, so let's start working on these snowflakes. I have some smaller ones as well that I'm going to just kind of place around the wreath. But first, I'm going to take these wood snowflakes, and if you are fortunate enough to just find white snowflakes that are glistening, if they're not, no problem. You can glisten them up with a fine white glitter. So just basically finding the snowflake, which is, I'm using about 6-inch in diameter snowflakes. And I'm going to be using 3 of those. So I'm kind of giving you an idea here where I'm going to place them. And the bow is going to be right where my hand is, right there. Okay, so I have my snowflakes all painted. Now I am going to glitter them up. Now, I didn't have any Mod Podge at the moment, so no problem. You can take Aleene's Tacky Glue or even Elmer's glue, add a touch of water to it, take a plastic spoon, and just mix it up till it's kind of a runny consistency, similar to that of Mod Podge. Take a sponge applicator, and I just dab that onto the surface of the snowflakes. And then I'm going to take my glitter. I have a little bit more of a chunky glitter, and I have a very fine diamond dust glitter. So I'm just going to be glittering up my snowflakes. I want the glittery snowflakes that's going to be resting on that white, soft Deco mesh to have a shimmer to them, or a glittery appearance, so they really stand out. And here I am just sprinkling on. I always do this on paper. And that way, if I have a lot of excess, I could just dump it back in the container. But it also just helps to keep from getting glitter like everywhere, as I'm totally glittery all throughout the holiday decorating season anyway, but try to keep it to a minimum. And I'm so sorry, I am not sure what happened here, but I obviously filmed in the vertical format, but it won't last for long, so bear with me and excuse me for that. I'm showing you here that I'm just taking the pipe cleaners from my bow, and I'm reaching through my Deco mesh, and I'm going to secure that bow to my wreath. I am going to have my bow at 6 o'clock on my wreath. Now, the beautiful thing about Deco mesh is that you can manipulate it to accommodate your bow, if that makes sense. I like to have all the loops of my bow opened up and really to showcase that beautiful bow appearance. So I move my Deco mesh around to accommodate the loops of my bow, if that makes sense. And again, that's a beautiful thing about Deco mesh. Also, another beautiful thing is, if your Deco mesh is not quite as compliant as you would like for it to be, meaning that if you have some little areas that need to be filled and the Deco mesh is not, behaving, sitting the way you want it to, take a dab of hot glue. It will respond very well, and just glue together any of those Deco mesh loops or sections that you want to be more compliant to fill in spaces, if that makes sense. Now, for the tails on my bow, I always take my base tails, the ribbons from the base, and I make those longest. Then the ribbons that are on the top tier, I make those tails a little bit shorter. This is the way I always do my tails. Now, I cut my tails, I angled them. This is very often what I do. I'm not really much of a dovetail person, I do that. Sometimes if I put ribbon bundles in a Deco mesh wreath, I might dovetail, but that's pretty much the only time you'll see me do that. And I went around the back of my wreath and I pushed down all the pipe cleaners. Now I decided, and again, I'm so sorry for the vertical format. It will stop here in just a second. I'm so sorry. I realized when I was editing, oh my gosh, what in the world did I do? But anyway, I took a couple of different types of greenery. I decided to add a little greenery around my bow. So choose whatever greenery that you like. I don't know what the greenery is called, but that particular one in my hand right there, I absolutely love that on a winter wreath or a Christmas wreath. You can see what those stems look like. I'm going to use 2 different kinds of greenery because I love to do that for visual interest. And I'm just placing some greenery on each side of my bow. Later, I'm going to embellish that greenery with just a couple of the very small snowflakes. They're also very shimmery and glittery with a very fine glitter. And they look very pretty. I'm going to show you that in a second. Once I get out of this vertical format. Oh my goodness. Here we go. So sorry about that. Look how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love this. It's beautiful. Okay, so after I place my greenery and I decide once and for all that's where I want it, I use my glue gun and I just glue it in appropriately. And here's those little snowflakes that I mentioned. There's 3 different kinds, which I love because there's a variety of different shapes of snowflakes. And I just placed them, I think I placed 3 in the greenery. Took a dab of hot glue, press that right to the greenery, and they'll stay put. If you're worried about the outside elements or anything falling off, just put in a dab of Aleene's Tacky Glue along with your hot glue. Same for the greenery. I don't really find that to be a problem. I use Gorilla hot glue, so I don't know if that's the difference. But look, oh my gosh, I love this. So, so pretty. All right, so here are my shimmery snowflakes. I didn't paint the underside. There was no need to. They're flat against the wreath. And I put a little dab of hot glue or a little stream of hot glue, and I place a pipe cleaner on there. Now, this will enable me to secure them to the wreath frame. And again, geez, I'm really not sure what happened here, but I'm so sorry. But I wanted to show you this because I thought it was so beautiful. So I put my snowflakes in, but I don't put them flat on the wreath, and you'll see this in just a second. I place them kind of angled, sitting into the Deco mesh. Now you do you, and however you want to place them, but I can tell you that they look much better if you just kind of tilt them and nestle them down into the Deco mesh. I put a loop on the back of the wreath frame, and here you have it, the finished wreath. And I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And you can see here what I mean about tilting the snowflakes. And I just absolutely love this one, as I said, and I hope you like it too. Okay, if you're not a current subscriber, I hope you will become one. Please give this video a thumbs up. And until next time, you all take care.